Welcome to a totally radical new episode of Press YYZ, your favorite Canadian gaming podcast. You can watch the show weekly on youtube.com/PressYYZ, live on twitch.tv/PressYYZ every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, or listen on your own time on your podcast service of choice. We appreciate however you choose to support the show, but if you've got no loonies or toonies to toss our way, it's all good. We're here for you no matter what. As always, before we get started, remember to be good to each other. Discrimination of any kind, be it over one's race, gender, sexual orientation, literally anything else, will not be tolerated within this community. Welcome to this is going to be a real fun episode. We are going to be doing a tier list of Nintendo franchise music towards the back half of the show, and we hope you'll stick around with us through that. But in the meantime, I'm joined, as always, by a colorful cast of cohorts. I myself am Mr. Mitch George, and joined, as always, by the head of Party Rock, AJ Fraser.
Howdy!
Our man running the mixer, Mr. Alexander Kozina.
Hi, it's an entirely digital mixer, but I hope to get a physical wiry mixer one day.
And our resident rock god, Nathan McInerney.
Hey, how are you people doing today? I'm glad that you came to spend time with us. It makes me real happy.
That's very cool. Was not expecting that, but I appreciate it nonetheless. How's everyone doing?
I'm actually doing
before
okay.
You get to housekeeping for you. Mario Party added an online mode, so Nathan's going to play it Thursday night for game night on Twitch. So that'll be a fun time.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. I may be joining in.
Maybe. It only took them 18 months to put out the first update for the game.
Yeah, it's more than 18 months. When did it launch? And that game has never had a single patch or update since it came out, which is kind of unbelievable.
It was already a perfect game, and they're just making it better. Mario Party.
It wasn't perfect.
So it released October 5th, 2018. Ugh. So more than 2 years ago. Almost Jesus 2.5. At the time, we all said they got to do some stuff to this, right? Bring more tables, bring online play. And they decided, I guess, a year and a half into a pandemic that now it's as good a time as any to add online.
Now, a year and a half into a pandemic, now people need to play Mario Party together.
To really kind of speak seriously about Nintendo's state of affairs, we've known for a while that Nintendo has had more difficulty coping with the pandemic than others. My assumption is that this is probably pretty low on the docket of things that were a priority for them, and that stuff like, getting Animal Crossing on the road and some of the other games that they released in 2020 probably took higher precedence. It's still obviously I'm totally in agreement that it's super weird that they decide to release this online mode now, or just in general that they didn't release an online mode when the game launched in 2018. But obviously the pandemic has made life strange for everybody in ways both good and bad, mostly bad.
People get to work.
How's everyone doing? I'm
doing okay.
Still in quarantine.
Yeah.
Yay.
Not letting up.
Apparently, Quebec raised the curfew back to 8 p.m. a couple weeks ago, and now they're changing it back to 9:30 p.m. So I guess that's an improvement.
Progress.
You never left the house around that time anyway. So
on some of the days where I do my cooking streams, I appreciate the extra, hour and a half that I can get out after I finish a cooking stream. So
that's fair.
I'm very jealous of the states for all their vaccinations, and they seem to get it back to normal. More normal.
I don't think we'll be that far behind, honestly. You see the reports of how many vaccines are getting week by week. I think it's only a matter of time before we can all start feeling a little more normal. And I think, for us, this show and video games are one way that we kind of cope with all the craziness going around in this crazy old world of ours right now. Who wants to talk about something they've been playing?
You've been playing Outriders.
I've been playing Outriders. You've been playing Outriders.
I've still been playing Outriders. This is week 4 for me, and this is week 1 for you?
Weekend one. I picked up an Xbox Series X over the weekend. And
Hell yeah!
I've been playing that. I've been playing MLB. I've been playing some more Halo. It's real good. Outriders is real good.
It's something.
I'm enjoying it a ton, honestly. Like, I know you've had your issues with inventory and things like that, but of what I've played, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I think there's a difference between it's good and I'm having fun with it. Because I still don't necessarily believe it's all that good, but there is a hook in this game that has brought me and a couple other friends together, in a way that hasn't happened since Halo Couch multiplayer. Right. So it's, every day after work we're hopping on and we're doing a couple of the end game expeditions, which is a hell of a lot of fun when you're doing it with people, because you get to balance your character off of each other, essentially, and that in itself is oddly satisfying to me, anyway.
Wait, you're saying I should be playing this game with other people?
Yeah, you can play with 2 other people at the same time.
But should I? Is the question.
Yes.
It's funny though. Before the pandemic and all the craziness we've dealt with over the last year plus, I was never an online guy, and now I feel like that's all I do.
Yeah.
Between hopefully that my game of the year for 2020, I will continue to say, was Final Fantasy VII Remake, but in there that shouldn't have been as high as it was, even though I kind of left it off my final game of the year list. But it's so good. Avengers. I love me some Avengers. They did some content. They dropped some content. It's not really content, but whatever. Yeah, it's been strange. Even like the other day, just booting up MLB The Show and doing home run derbies with some members of our community. It was a blast. Mm-hmm. And I look forward to more and more of these kind of game experiences, because multiplayer gaming's never been my thing. And now it kind of is becoming the only thing, which is strange for me. But
well, yeah,
when there's good, right?
When there's a severe lack of ability to spend time with other people, absolutely, you kind of need to do that a little bit, right? And for me, like for a lot of the whole previous year, this has been, kind of one of those similar outlets, doing this podcast. So
yeah,
it's fun having a game like Outriders, good or bad, that at the very least is easy enough to jump into and just do the thing. So
speaking of spending time with people, something else I did over this past week within our community is we did a movie night on the Discord, and we watched the new Mortal Kombat movie, and boy howdy, is that a movie.
I want to watch it.
Me too.
I must have missed that you guys were doing the movie night, otherwise I probably would have joined in.
Are you in the watch parties? You are, right?
I don't know, maybe not.
If you're hanging out on our Discord server, invite.gg/Press YYZ. We have a roles channel. You use that to self-assign. So if you do want to participate in any of our upcoming watch parties, I think this week we're doing...
I was not. I am now.
You are now. Awesome. I think what we're going to do is we've got 6 weeks basically between now and the start of Loki on Disney Plus. And what we've been doing every other week, we're doing a Pixar movie watch along for our Pixar review series, YYZ Video. So we've got like 3 weeks between now and Loki. So I think we're going to watch in the weeks between Pixar movies, Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame, which should be a lot of fun to watch those with people. So yeah, if you're at all interested in that, feel free to hop over on the Discord and give yourself that role, and we'll have a good time. That's all I got there. Mortal Kombat it's interesting. I mean, I think they did a good job with the license. I think it's a fun B movie with friends.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but that's what I've heard equally.
It's very mixed reception, but for a video game movie, it seems to be getting better reception. I still think Detective Pikachu, although I haven't seen it in Sonic.
They are both better.
Seem to be the high bar.
They are both,
and somehow they figured out how to make Sonic good. So I don't know.
It honestly, I would recommend watch. I think it's on Netflix or no, I think it's on Amazon Prime in Canada. I would check it out if you haven't yet. It's fun. It's James Marsden does a great job. It's fun. But speaking of videos, Nathan, you've been doing some tinkering with some videos in Share Factory.
Yeah. So I finished up my Tony Hawk Platinum, which I'm pretty proud of.
Congratulations.
On PS5. So I made a video of all the hard get theres, and I did it with the PC editor. And then I saw a tweet that they had announced that Share Factory Studio, which is on PS5, had just gotten an update with a bunch of new stuff. So I was like, well, let's see what the difference between like using a PC editor and like a free PC editor versus Share Factory and what I can do. So I kind of was just like experimenting. I think the Share Factory is actually, it's a pretty powerful video editing tool, but there's a lot they need to do to make it more user friendly. It's all controller based, which is kind of awkward to use. But I think there's small little tweaks like remembering what assets you're using. So because continuously as these videos load, you're going to see in the bottom right hand corner that I used a speech bubble and kind of put it in the bottom right hand corner so you don't know it's a speech bubble to make like a white border to then put the display and everything on. This is a very long grind, or a very long combo. It's the longest, so that's why it's taken the longest for it to come up. And it took me like hours and hours to get, which was annoying. So you see how it's at the bottom there? So that's a speech bubble I kind of turned into it. And I constantly had to go into the menus over and over and over again to find these assets and fonts I was using. And there was no way to replicate it among your clips. Like if they had a way to clone what effects you put on the clips, it would have sped the entire process up. But for what it is, it's fairly powerful, and it does a very like good job on putting your clips and everything together, exporting it, getting it to YouTube. So yeah, no. So Share Factory needs some tweaks. It's still not 100% there. But if you don't have access to a PC or you want to do this live yourself, you can do it. And it's still pretty good. It can be even better. And there's a lot of promise for it. The one thing I will say, they've added a ton of music tracks that you can add to the game. But one of them caused a copyright strike when I uploaded it to YouTube.
Strike or warning?
Warning, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't matter. My personal channel is not paid, or like I don't make any money. So it's not a big deal, but you'd think all the music in there would be license free potentially. Yeah,
you'd think.
So
what is the interface? What is it like interfacing with these videos though with the controller? Like, is it a good tool for the interface, or do you still kind of miss the intuitiveness of, or the flexibility of mouse and keyboard for things like video edit?
So I haven't done a lot of video editing. It's not bad. Like they found a way to move your videos around, like your clips pretty quickly and get it in there. I think once you get used to it, it's pretty simple to use. I think in order to compensate for the controller, like I said, the biggest thing that they could do is potentially just make those shortcuts, like have an option to pull assets up that you're using regularly, and that would speed the process up significantly for people using controllers. Because that type of stuff is probably easier when you're using a mouse.
I remember, I remember on PS4, like Share Factory was, that's what it is, right?
Yeah, Share Factory.
Yeah.
Share Factory
Share
Studio
Factory.
PS5.
Yeah, Share Factory was, it worked really well even on PS4, even like back at launch. There were a few videos that I, kind of cut together of like just various gameplay footage and stuff like that. But you also just reminded me that so the Xbox One had a similar app called Upload Studio, and it was also like really good. And I think it even had arguably was a little better and had some of those kind of like shortcut like easy asset features that you're kind of hoping for here. But when I migrated over to the Series X, it brought my whole profile over, and like all the tiles on my home screen and everything came over with it. But I can't download the Upload Studio. They haven't made it available on the next generation hardware for some reason, despite there technically being more power to be able that should be able to handle it. They haven't put that effort in there, which is kind of a bummer.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it'd be nice to see this type of software being put out to people, especially with the focus on share. I'm really surprised the Series X doesn't do that, because they added a share button to the controller. Did they not? This chat?
Yeah.
They did.
So the share button is how I was getting those Outriders clips. So you just hold it for a video and press it for a screenshot. But
the other thing I wanted to point out, Cozy, is that you the other week when I said I was going to platinum Tony Hawk on PS5, you asked if I was going to do the PS4 version and then transfer my trophy so I get the platinum on the PS5 one. And I didn't do that, so I platinumed the PS5 one, but then I decided it was going to be a glutton for punishment and went back and platinumed the PS4 version and downloaded the PS4 version, redid all the hard challenges to prove it wasn't a fluke and that I could do them all again. And did them. And I don't know if anybody knew this was possible, but there's a stupid trophy where you have to grind to level 100.
Yeah.
I've heard Tim Geddes complaining about that.
Yes. So there's a way you can do that without touching your system. There's a PS4 macro that you can install on your PC that works with PS4 or the PS5 remote play on your PC.
Huh.
So I was able to get a macro running over and over and over again, generating the XP I need to get to that level 100 in a few hours.
Wow.
That I probably couldn't have done on my own for days.
Cheater. Pumpkin eater.
I don't think that's cheating. It's a bad trophy.
Yeah.
You can do almost everything in that game and still be at like level 80 with just useless grind. So
yeah, they could have done a better job of kind of synchronizing the grindy elements of it with, how you would actually progress to completing the entirety of the game.
Yeah, figure out how to give you more experience. Like if you do more of the single player skate missions with each individual skater, you get more each time you do it or something.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of completing games, Cozy, you have started working towards the completion of Control.
Yes, that's right. So here's the thing about me. I'm the kind of guy that when it comes to playing video games, tends to prefer games that are easy to play in kind of small intervals, and then kind of quickly do some other quick task on the side or chore that I've been meaning to get to, then come back to said game, then do a small chore, then come back to said game, then do a small chore ad infinitum. Recently, after I did everything that there was to do in Infamous Festival of Blood, which we talked about a little while ago, I went and played around a lot of Luminous Supernova on the PlayStation 3, which is a game that very much falls into this kind of category. Like you can complete a single stage in Luminous and be like, okay, I passed a very clear threshold, and now I'm going to use this as an opportunity to take a quick break and do something I'm meant to do, like study a little bit more Japanese or clean up in the kitchen or so on or so forth. It's difficult. I would say not difficult, but it's a little bit harder to get me to start playing titles like Control, where the ebb and flow of that game is such that there aren't like natural stopping points in Control kind of come at intervals that are not as consistent as, say, a game like Luminous Supernova. But nevertheless, I decided to give it a shot because, like all of us, I constantly feel the need to play games that are kind of relevant to the current conversation in the industry, that are, of a very high quality and that kind of enrich my institutional knowledge of what's good and what's bad in the realm of gaming. And Control, came out in 2019, so it's not the newest game of all time, but it recently got its Ultimate Edition, which was made available for free on PlayStation Plus, and thus it was a pretty easy decision for me to go and check it out. I am a few hours into it, but thus far I enjoy it very, very much. Much like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, it's another 3D Metroidvania-like title that features very high production values and no shortage of really intriguing audio diaries and other stuff to kind of glean from just searching and tossing through that game's environments. So obviously it remains to be seen whether I'm actually going to follow through on my promise to complete this game, but I really hope that I can just sit down and power through it, because sometimes I start these games, I get into them, I'm really enjoying them, and I don't follow through with the initial promise that I set when I started them on, but we'll see.
Speaking of the current zeitgeist around games, I just wanted to gauge interest from the room. This week we've got Returnal and new Pokemon Snap both dropping. Who's picking up what? Is anyone picking up anything?
Pokemon Snap, hell yeah.
I'm going to pick up Pokemon Snap, maybe not right away, just because I want to focus on Control and Halo, which we'll talk about later, and some other things.
Yep.
But that game is, yes, very much of interest to me as well.
Snap
Nathan,
sounds
are
like
the kiddos into the snaps?
They want Snap. I'm not paying $80 for it, so they will wait for a birthday.
Where you will still pay $80 for it?
I will, but later. Maybe it'll be a sale.
Nintendo doesn't really do discounts. Yeah,
they're not great at it, I'll admit. So we'll see. But I'll hold off on it for now. I'm not looking to spend $80 on it right now, that's for sure. So, but if it's a Christmas present down the line, we'll see.
The funny thing about
a gift card for a holiday or something.
Yeah, we get to, the problem is sometimes we get to Christmas and then I'm like, what games do you boys want? And we've already bought all the games that they would want. So,
I mean, it can almost work out in that favor if you just got them gift cards, and then when things like this come out, they can just do what they want with it. But maybe they're still a little young to get that concept.
They'd want to spend it sooner than later on something stupid that they saw. And I'm like, let me be the judge of what you get and what you don't get.
The Minecraft DLC.
Yeah, all of it.
Speaking of Pokemon, Nathan, you've been doing a weird thing that I tried to do also and couldn't because people are crazy. Actually, before we move along, I am picking up both those games. So I'll hopefully have something to say on both next week.
do want to say, the funny thing about Pokemon Snap is that I really appreciated how short of an experience the original Pokemon Snap was. I liked the fact that you could beat it in, a matter of maybe 4 to 6 hours, and then you could come back to it another day and go through with the whole rigmarole again and enjoy it from front to back. And obviously, this game, by virtue of everything that they've shown off in it, is going to be a longer experience than the original, but I still do hope that it is, not the longest experience of all time, that it is a little bit easier to achieve 100% in. But I also understand that to a lot of people, that's kind of disappointing of a prospect, because even if they are in agreement with me that, it's the new Pokemon Snap should not be the longest game in the world, it's like we obviously want to get our value for our money, and $80 for a new Pokemon Snap that might theoretically be not the longest game in the world is kind of disappointing.
I think to your point earlier, Cozy, it feels to me from all the coverage I've been seeing today, because the review embargo dropped today as of recording, it does seem like it is a longer game, but there are still those elements of pick it up, do a run, try and improve on scores for a couple of Pokemon, and put it back down. So it has that kind of pick up and play one more run nature to it, which I'm looking forward to. And it sounds like Returnal is something similar. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how both these games turn out. And Nathan, to your point earlier, I would not pay $80 for this either, but I had the reason I mentioned a gift card earlier is I had one left over from the holidays, and that's what went towards this purchase. So I'm with you that $80 for this seems like a lot, but it's also Pokemon, so I worry that it's not going to drop in price. But Nathan, you were showing us Pokemon things. Show us the Pokemon things.
So this is not normally me, but we got the kids Happy Meals today, and I got 3 of the new Happy Meal Pokemon card packs. And I thought we could do a live unboxing because I know Mitch is a big fan of this.
Do it.
Yeah, but you're doing it, not me. I like doing it.
I'm sorry. How should I do this? Just one by one? And show what's in the content?
Do you maybe want to do them while we keep talking about another thing, and you can kind of... We have the visual there, or do we want to? Because
I want
unboxing translates to audio.
Oh, we can make it work as long as we narrate what we're seeing, and as long as Nathan.
All right.
I want to hear Nathan's best descriptions of whatever the hell comes out of those.
Oh yes, because I'm a Pokemon master, so
Go ahead,
I will be very
gonna hate
able to
this,
tell you
aren't I?
these things.
Yeah.
So
A quick reminder that I
here's-
can bring up the
Hold on.
big solo view cam that just shows Nathan, which is what I'm doing right now. So if at any point we need to specifically highlight something that Nathan has uncovered, we can obviously do that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
All right,
So
go for it, dude.
here's the first pack, and it's a blue cover. As you can see, it's got the Pikachu logo in the corner there with the cheeks on the 2 and the 5. This is toy number 5. So that's interesting. So we're going to open this up now here. And as you can see, this is what it looks like on the inside here.
Got a booster pack in it.
Yep. So there's a booster
And an
pack.
activity.
And so what do we got in here? So we have
Coloring
different
page of
Pokeballs
some
for
sort?
color. And then we've got
Stickers, maybe?
some giant Pokemon stickers.
Ooh.
Oh,
Now I'm going to
wow.
tell you the names of these characters.
Okay, go
Yep.
for it.
Please,
Please do.
Okay.
so I can be disappointed in you.
So this is Pikachu.
Yep.
Okay.
You're 1 for 1.
Okay. This is Grassmite.
Nope.
Yeah, you
not
nailed it.
even
Yep.
close.
You nailed it.
This is Taco Flame Fart.
Hell yeah.
I hate this.
Yep.
And this is Pip Plop.
You're
That
pretty
was
close on
really
that one.
goddamn close.
It's-
So for
I
those
think
who
that
are
one-
listening, it is the 3 Gen 4 starters, Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup.
Yeah.
My names are better. So let's take a peek of what's in this. So,
Your
Let's-
kids are going to
let's
love
see
those
your
Pokemon
cards.
cards.
oh, so this is like paper. Do the card packs normally feel like paper, not a plastic?
It might
They're
be a
like
new thing.
foil?
They're not foil. This is more of paper feel when I tear it open. You can actually hear the sound as you tear
I heard
into
that,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we got here? So, okay. So this one I know because he was in the last game I played, Grookey.
Hell yeah.
That is Grookey.
And see, they
Oh,
have
and he's
that
shiny.
little logo in the corner there too.
Yeah. Holographic.
He's
I think
shiny.
my
too.
kids are going to be fighting over these. And then, yep.
100%. It's a good thing you
Here's-
got 3 of them.
Well, they already have so much. I let them open too. This is Piplup.
Yep.
There you go.
Piplup.
Yep.
Or as he's known in Japan, Pochama.
So this is one, and it's a silly name, Fennekin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing about that screams fire to me.
Yeah, but Fennekin is
It's a
such a
fox.
Fact that it had
Fennekin is such a
flaming ear hole.
disappointing starter because it starts off as a fox, but then it becomes humanoid. Any starter that becomes gradually more humanoid, with the exception of Blaziken, are some of the lesser starters
Did-
IMO.
Would you count?
But it also
would you
becomes a wizard.
Would you consider Feraligatr to be humanoid? Because he's on 2
No.
legs and he's kind of Godzilla dinosaur like.
That's the point. He's more like Godzilla, like a small Godzilla, than he is
Okay.
like a human.
Got it.
Okay. And then the last one is
I'm with
Flame
Sal.
Fart.
How dare you besmirch the good name of Incineroar?
So then we've got pack number 2. So this is actually pack.
Incineroar's
4.
okay.
I don't know how many different
Yep.
packs there are. So we're going to open
Gotta
this
check
up.
them all.
So we have another booster pack.
So I think the boosters are random. The number is specifically for the activity inside.
The activity, yeah.
Got
And this one here, we have a maze that you have to match the Pikachu to the Pikachu, black Pikachu. And then as
The
well,
shadow. Sure.
oh,
Ooh,
There's more
Gen
naming.
3.
Gen 3
Let's-
starters.
let's do the naming again. So once
Yep.
again, we know this is Pikachu.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is Pikachu.
This is Marine Gill.
Yep.
No, that's an internet.
I mean,
meme. You should know that one.
I feel like Gen 1
Oh,
they
is
would
this
have
the
called.
Mudtip?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it the Mudtip?
That
I've
being
heard of
said,
Mudtip.
I feel like Gen 1 they would have called the Pokemon Marine Gill because that's like not a bad pun or anything.
This is Flame Tweety.
Oh.
Yep.
Close.
Again.
And this is Double Tail Lizard.
Wow, you really are a Pokemon master.
See,
So
I'm pretty
it's
good at this.
Torchic,
Yeah.
Torchic, and Trico, as in tree gecko.
Hell yeah.
Oh, Tree Gecko.
So,
And
fun
then
fact,
hang on.
in
I still like
Pokemon,
Nathan's names better.
there are like little physical differences that help set aside certain female variants of Pokemon from male variants. I think Torchic has like one of the smallest male to female variants where male Torchic have like a tiny brown dot on their asses. This is not a joke. This is not like a weird bit. That's actually a real Pokemon fact.
Okay. And what do we have here? So this is Cyndaquil.
Hell yeah.
And it's a shiny one.
Ooh.
Then we have another Piplup.
Pochana.
Oh, no, wrong way. Then we have a regular Cyndaquil.
Yep, not shiny.
And then I know this one, Rowlet, because he was in the one I played where I became a Pokemon master.
He's got a bow tie.
Okay. And then we got one box left. Thank you, audio listeners. If you're listening to audio, I feel like this is going to be clipped out. So
Rowlet's actually going to be featured in next year's Pokemon Legends Arceus as well.
That's true.
Fun.
That's right.
So this is pack
Rowlet,
7.
Cyndaquil, and Poplio? No. Oshawott.
This leads me to believe there's 10 different packs you can get, but the cards don't change.
Well, the pack itself is randomly packed and
Yeah. So, but you'll just get different activities in each one. So this one's a maze. That looks a little bit harder than the other maze. And then we have scenic scenery.
Ooh.
it's something to put all your stickers on.
All these stickers.
Oh.
Ooh.
I'm not going to go through and name all these because I feel like that would take
Those
forever.
are all the starters.
Every single starter?
I want you to tell me the name of the one in the bottom right corner.
The bottom right corner?
Gens
Yeah,
1
This one
through
right
4.
here.
Yes, that one.
Snazzletooth Gator.
Nailed it. Wow.
Snazzle
I
Gator,
mean,
yeah.
Pokemon
Yep.
names can't contain that many characters, so I don't know if that's accurate.
Not with that attitude.
You know, they'll never will if we keep up that attitude.
Yeah, it looks like all those
Uh,
stickers that came with your scenery are Gens 1 through 4 starters.
So,
And for
and then
the
we
record,
got
it was Totodile.
Totodile. Okay, and then we got our final batch here with a shiny Charizard or Charmander.
Oh, you almost said the word. Another Grookey.
Another Grookey. We had one of those already.
Another Cyndaquil.
Cyndaquil. And then a Turtwig. That was one of the first ones I said. I don't remember what the name I made up for. So yeah, there is these kids. By the way, there's comments in the chat about me taking them away from my children. These cards will be going to my children. I just thought it'd be fun for us to do a live opening on the thing.
Hello, it is me, your child. Please send them here.
The cards they will never get are these cards.
Oh.
The
But isn't that
original.
open? It's open though, isn't it?
It is open, but they're the original set from when they first came out. This is the original starter box
Amazing.
that
Just
I
give them to your
bought.
kids.
No, I feel like that's a bad
No.
idea because they're in ridiculously good condition.
I want to just issue a quick retraction here. So earlier on in the podcast, I said that generally I don't like Pokemon starters that evolve into very kind of humanoid forms. I'm going to retract that and say that I just don't like Sobble. So Sobble was the water starter of Gen 8, which I chose
I can agree with
when
you
I
not
played
liking
Pokemon
Sobble,
Shield.
'cause-
And I was very much looking forward to evolving Sobble because I thought, oh, is it going to evolve into like a giant reptilian hulking monster? But instead, it evolves into Drizzile, which is like a humanoid, like gunk goth lizard or whatever. And then it evolves from there into Inteleon, which is like if James Bond was mashed up with like a Sly Cooper character and was a lizard. I was very disappointed to discover that was his ultimate form. So I just want to say, everybody in the chat saying, oh man, what about Incineroar and all those other guys? They're all good. It's just Inteleon, his evolutionary line.
Inteleon
that I
is
don't like.
terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's fully evolve this lizard and give it a gun for some reason.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was mine. I love that thing. That thing was
It's
awesome.
terrible.
I
And
do.
then when it gets the
I wish I picked
Gigantamax,
any other starter than Sobble.
I do
was the
like
best.
the concept of him shooting water from his fingers, just because there are so many Pokemon that are like, I just shoot my water from my mouth. It's cool to have someone that's, functions a little bit differently in that regard. But yeah.
well, when he
Blastoise.
Gigantamaxes,
So
he gets
dumb.
that big sniper tower, and he can shoot from
Yeah.
the sniper tower. That's pretty cool too.
So how long until we do a top tier list of the Pokemon starter final evolutions? Because that's the content I'm waiting for.
We could do that. That sounds like a topic that can be done at some point.
all the water goes into the S rank, and then everything else is below it. Yeah, absolutely.
Why not to bring in some experts that don't have such bad opinions like AJ?
No, water.
Oh, I'm an expert as a Pokemon master.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one game you beat. Okay. Moving right along.
2 games.
Anyone have anything else they want to talk about that they got up to this week? I don't really have transitions for what's left. So,
sorry, Nathan.
Go ahead. I just talked a lot.
Okay. I figure I might as well take a moment to talk a little bit about a certain toy game set that I recently obtained. I recently got myself the Lego Mario starter set. So this is one of those things where I back in the day used to very much love a little Lego series called Bionicle. Unfortunately, I didn't have the money that I needed to purchase every Bionicle set that I could possibly want. And now that Bionicle is, long gone and gone the way of the dodo, I feel regretful that I didn't, purchase more of those sets back in the day when I could. So I made a point, even though I would kind of just prefer Lego Mario to just be like, hey, here is Peach's Castle Lego-fied, here is World 1-1 Lego-fied. Even though I prefer Lego Mario to be that, I made a point of, I'm going to at least try and pick up the base Lego Mario set and a couple of other ones just so I can play around with them. And I got to say, I had a lot of fun making this guy. It's the whole idea, right, is that the Lego Mario set does not come with instructions on how to build like a specific obstacle course. Instead, it just instructs you, and here's how you build each of the individual islands that Lego Mario can pass through on an obstacle course, and it's up to you to figure out how you want to order these various obstacles and make Mario go through them. I expected, maybe I'll just look up something online, see what someone else has done, construct them in that order, and just leave them in the corner to collect dust. But I actually ended up spending a fair bit of time coming up with a obstacle course that I thought was optimal, and I can walk away saying confidently that this is a good-ass little creation.
So I have a bunch of the Lego Mario stuff too. My kids really like it. I don't get the point of it. Like, it's cool. I guess it's just like playing with a regular Lego, and it's cool what Mario does, and that he can like change his like sounds and his eyes move and everything. But my kids, we got a bunch of sets for my kids for Christmas, and they kind of just stopped playing with it. So
like if you think of like Lego Star Wars stuff, like the physical Star Wars stuff, like the fun is in building it, you whoosh it around a little bit, and then it becomes like a display art piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that still seems like it's mostly a toy, which what do you
it's hard to leave it constructed.
Yeah,
like we built Lego Hogwarts over a 2-week period because it's like 6,000 pieces, and then it was this really nice centerpiece. I still have to rebuild it because one of my kids dropped a half of it. And we've now separated into separate colors because you can't get it back into the original bags, which makes it harder to put together. So we've half a castle built at the moment, but it's one of those things where it's really neat. It's just, it's too big to just leave set up. So
I get
as a display case.
I want to invest in some ridiculous Lego sets when we get our new place, and get like a proper display case. Because the plan right now, my parents still have all my old Beast Wars toys and Megazords and Power Ranger stuff. I cannot wait to get all that stuff from their place and get it set up in these nice like display cases. I'm hoping I can get like a whole real nice like background setup for streaming and stuff. Carmen's really excited about doing that kind of thing. So very much looking forward to getting to do that in the new place.
I will say,
speaking of,
I just want to, last thing I'll say about Lego Mario is, I think, Nathan, you mentioned how your kids have not been playing with it as much in the future. I feel like I would be more inclined to just go around and mess around with Lego Mario a little bit more if they could have somehow figured out in a relatively cheap fashion to make Mario move autonomously. Like the fact that you have to like physically like waddle around Mario with your hands, and you can control, well, this is exactly how fast or how slow Mario can move. This is exactly how large Mario can jump. Oh, look at that. Looks like Mario can jump from the beginning of the level to the end of the level. Who knew he had such strong legs? If they could have made it so that Mario is on a track and you can like change up the direction of the track, change up the obstacles that are in front of Mario on the track, but the speed with which Mario moves on the track is always set, and you don't have to do anything else to influence his movements once he's on the track, outside maybe, I don't know, jumping or whatever. Like, I feel like that could have been really clutch, but as it stands, it's still a neat enough toy slash set slash thingamabob by itself.
Speaking of neat things, Nathan, you've been playing Judgment?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reviews recently. I've kind of toned back what I've been doing, but I got a code for Judgment, and I figured I should check it out. I've never played any of the Yakuza games, and this is a spin-off of the Yakuza series. So I wasn't sure what I was getting into. What I can tell you, I'm about 12 hours in since I got the code a few days ago. It looks like I'm probably about 40% of the way through the game at the moment. It's got a killer story, very like film noir style to the story. And you play, as in this game, as a former lawyer who's now a detective in the game. And you do things like you tail people, you chase them, you have to inspect crime scenes and photos and look for things. Like, it feels like you're playing as a detective. It's actually really good in how it does that. So I'll probably talk more about it next week. I don't want to spend too much time, but it definitely has some of the unique works that are from the Yakuza series that I've heard about in terms of Easter eggs. I found a Ace Attorney one that I posted the other day to Twitter, as well as I posted another one to Twitter, I think, called it was Ass Ketchum.
You did, in fact.
That's what that was from.
They're an ass grabber in the city that you have to solve the mystery of. I had to solve a mystery of somebody who's stealing panties, people who are committing infidelity with each other. So it's a really neat game with some cool side missions. Very big. It's not a huge city, but it's very dense with lots of areas and buildings you can go into, which I appreciate. There isn't really driving around in it. Like, you can run from one side to the next pretty quickly, but it's very dense with what's available. It's not just a lot of buildings that are just there. So yeah, I'm having a good time. I'll talk more about it next week. I'm hoping to be done it when we're talking next week. So
something I've heard a number of times from a friend of ours, Rob, who's always hanging around in the Discord, and then also Navaroli here in the chat. Yakuza 0. If you're at all digging this, I've heard that is the entry point, like the optimal entry point into the Yakuza series, and I think it's on PC Game Pass.
It is,
Nathan, for you,
and I think it's on console as well. Yeah,
it is on. It was definitely on console. I mean, I have both. I have my Game Pass Ultimate.
I need to get back to that. I
definitely want to give that a shot.
Can I just say though, I don't like the combat. That's my biggest gripe with that game right now. The combat feels like a bad beat 'em up, and I don't love it.
Because Yakuza 0, I believe, is similar. I
want to play Like a Dragon because it's got that.
I think you
gameplay.
I think you play Yakuza and related games for the story more than anything. So
Yakuza 0 is also, by the way, on sale for $5 on the PSN.
Oh,
I mean, you can go that route, but it's on Game Pass. If you're already paying for that, definitely give that a look-see there, if you so choose. AJ, we got into this the first time, and you seemed a little disheveled. What's wrong?
Yeah. Okay. So, first and foremost, I'm fine. I'm okay. Figuring it out. First and foremost. But so it all started not last week, but the week before. I was at work on a Thursday, and I had this pain in my upper back that kind of extended up to my neck and then kind of across my head and causing like a headache. Like imagine like just like something pulling a tendon in the back of my neck, right? And just as the day wore on, it just got like more and more tense up there. Nothing too painful to that I couldn't exactly tolerate or just kind of like, work my way through. But eventually this thing, like somebody strumming a guitar, just released, right? All that tension, right? And I immediately felt dizziness after. Some quick Google searches and stuff, which never do that. Just go to a doctor instead.
Never Google
never
search
do that.
when you think you are not feeling well because you have cancer.
Yeah, 100% of the time. No. This time it told me potentially you might have a slipped or a herniated disc, and I'm like, well, great.
Oh, that's not fun.
That's fun. That's great. And of course, not exactly. We're still in a pandemic. Not exactly wanting to really go to a hospital or anything. I went home. I monitored it. Took some Tylenol and everything. Was feeling better. Still kind of a little sore. I used I have this posture corrector that I was using that kind of helped keep my shoulders in a position where it didn't really hurt too much. And that was all fine. But then last week, like throughout the course of last week, every once in a while, I would just get this weird kind of dizzying feeling. But it's only ever since that thing, popped in my neck or whatever. And so it was mostly fine, but then one day at work, I couldn't handle the dizziness anymore, right? It didn't get progressively worse. It's just, this day was a really bad day, for it. Not sure why, like I wasn't losing balance or anything. It's just once in a while, the odd head turn, would suddenly for like half a second turn the room, and I'd have to like recenter real quick. And when I sat down for like break at work and stuff, tried to eat a snack and everything, I had to go step outside because I needed some fresh air. Because if I'd sat there for much longer, I started to feel kind of nauseous, right? So all the real bad things start going through your head. Like who knows what's going on? So I decided, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna go to the nearest hospital and get this figured out or something. And so that was at like 2 p.m. on last Thursday. So got there, told the doctors, everything that I had been through, and they ordered a CT scan of my head and neck. Right? Great. Had that done. Had the nice contrasting fluid put into my veins. That I don't know if anybody's ever had a CT scan before. It makes you feel warm from the inside out. And when they put it in, like how warm you feel, it's like you pee yourself. That's how it feels. I did not pee myself. How do you know what it
feels like to pee yourself?
Don't worry about it.
You've never.
It happens. Yeah. Have you
remember?
Have you ever spilt a warm beverage in your lap?
I don't really. Okay, so here's the thing.
Apparently, Mitch George is perfect. Apparently, Mitch George has never made any mistake.
Ever. I don't like hot chocolate, coffee, tea. Like, nah, give me a nice, like, really, really cold Diet Pepsi on ice. Like, that's my jam. Warm? Nah, get that. No. You enjoy your warm garbage. I'm going to drink my nice cold Diet.
Have you ever peed yourself while sleeping?
Not that I can remember. Probably when I was a kid or when I was in like a toddler, sure. But I don't remember peeing myself.
A likely story.
I'm just saying, when you're dreaming and you think you're peeing in the dream, you might start peeing. I've heard that happens.
Yeah.
I don't really dream, to be honest. Like,
you're fucking weird.
Yeah,
I am fucking weird. Keep talking about your weird fucking head. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I will do just that. Yeah, so So they put that contrasting fluid in. It felt really weird, wore off really quick, which is fine. And then they said, they didn't find anything wrong with that CT scan that was inherent to my issue. But they did say, you got some lymph nodes in your chest, and they seem a little irritated. Something's up. We should do another CT scan, which. From what I may have learned, you probably shouldn't have more than one dose of contrasting fluid put into your veins in a week. But, it's one of those, you're at the emergency room, they found something else, they're going to need to do another one. I trust the medical professionals who were treating me.
And it's the kind of thing, like, if an issue does arise, you're in the one location where they'll be most best equipped to help resolve it as a result of the fluids.
Exactly. If anything like that went wrong or whatever. But they still sent me home anyway, with the IV still in my arm, just the little tap hooked up, wrapped it up nice. To come in the next morning and have that second CT scan. So I did that, and they still didn't find anything inherently wrong. Nothing bad in my lower half from the neck down. Other than, those lymph nodes still look a little inflamed. So I have no idea. Today I was. While I was eating dinner, I was having a really rough bout of that dizziness, but I powered through it. And I gave you guys forewarning if I needed to step away. That I'm not like leaving the room to go deal with something or whatnot. I just need to like pace around a little bit and relax myself,
just level yourself almost.
Exactly. But. Yeah, I actually feel decent doing this podcast right now. So, it's therapeutic in more ways than one. I can tell you that much. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad we could help.
Thank you very much. But yeah, that's what I've got going on. No news is good news right now. Tomorrow I've got an appointment with a thoracic specialist, which is more of a spine doctor, which, hey, if it's a slip disc or something, they'll figure it out. That's the guy to talk to. But yeah, they apparently also deal a little bit with the lymph nodes in the chest and stuff. So somebody's going to talk to me. I'm going to have x-rays and everything, and we're going to figure something out. So, but yeah, I've had a rough go of it, and all I could do is play Outriders. So
I will admit,
hopefully it all feels better.
Yeah, me too. What's that, Nathan?
I was just going to say, when I first read what you put in the list, I thought that there was a game called Emergency Room Visitor that maybe was added to Game Pass.
I think that could be one of Cozy's next core games, where you have to go sit in a waiting room, and the different levels are like different countries' versions of the waiting room.
What about a sim management, where you have to manage the ER waiting room?
There
already is.
There is that, but what if you had to manage yourself and your entertainment level in an ER waiting room as people are coming in and stuff like that? True. Like, you have to bring your Game Boys because you need to play something, and then you're
running low on batteries.
Oh no! What are you gonna do? Oh, you need a snack.
The hospital sim I was thinking of was 2 Point Hospital, which is out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch.
I will say, by the way, I both these ideas for core games sound great. I've not actually touched core in a little while, just because I've been pretty busy working on both Press YYZ and my own, Kozina Live Twitch efforts. The latter of which ended up being more successful than I was anticipating. So it's kind of left me strapped for time to work on core related things. But I'll definitely keep that in mind when I get back to core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
Anyway,
very cool.
That's my wah.
Well, hopefully your wah becomes a wahoo real soon, because we're going to transition over to our topic of the show, and we are going to put together a tier list of the top tier Nintendo franchises by their music.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so the way that this is going to work is we've got a tier maker set up. We've got ranks D through S, and we've got like a dozen or so Nintendo franchises that we'll go through.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of just pick them out randomly as to which ones we should talk about, because I don't want to just leave the ones at the end to the end, because they might not be the most fun to talk about. So
What?
I'm just saying. All right, you know what, AJ, since you're feeling so down in the dumps, which Nintendo franchise do you want to start talking about?
Let's start with F-Zero.
Ooh,
Good, because that was one of the ones I didn't want to talk about.
By the way,
Yeah.
at any point, if you guys would like me to play music from the franchise in question, let me know, and I will be more than happy to be your personal jukebox.
Sweet.
If anyone's here watching us live on twitch.tv, if you have a link to a song you want to hear from one of these games, feel free to drop it in the chat.
Oh yeah, that too. By all means.
Yeah. So F-Zero, what is it about the F-Zero soundtrack that stands out to you, AJ?
For me, mostly, what stands out to me is F-Zero. So when I was playing my Smash Brothers Melee runs a few months ago, consistently the F-Zero level in the adventure mode, when you have to run really fast, is the one that amped me up the most. Where you're running across the track in Mute City, and when you're fighting Captain Falcon, that the soundtrack in F-Zero is just one of those, you got speedy race cars, you're going to need speedy fast music, and they do a very good job of having like a good 80s 90s inspired like slightly synth but mostly rock sound. And I think it's a shame that there hasn't been more F-Zero games in general. The last one was on the GameCube proper, I believe.
Yeah, and they probably left it there for a reason.
Honestly, I think either Captain Falcon needs to come to Mario Kart, or Mario needs to go to F-Zero and try and race real fast there. Personally, but
I mean, we did get Mute City in Mario Kart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did we?
No, it's not
Mario
Mute City.
Kart 8
It's
Deluxe
another.
had it.
Yeah,
It's the blue.
we got
The level something else.
Yeah, I think Nathan is correct. We got two.
I'm gonna find it.
We got two
Blue
bits
Zone?
of F-Zero DLC in Mario Kart 8, but I don't think either of them were Mute City.
You guys can go suck a lemon, because when I go to mariokart.fandom.com, what comes up as the fourth and final track of the Egg Cup
Blue
in Mario
Falcon.
Kart 8 is Mute City.
Oh, is it Mute City?
I mean, I've not
was
played these
blue
games,
something.
so I can't. I'm not so entrenched in the F-Zero.
Wait, you haven't played Mario Kart 8?
No. I played Mario Kart 8. I'm not F-Zero.
Oh, okay,
That's what
okay.
I'm talking about. So when I play,
I'm remembering this.
Yeah.
Neither am I.
I'm starting to remember a bit of this Mario Kart map a little bit, but like it's not.
I guess
it's
it is
not,
Mute City. I didn't think it was.
the map itself is not that memorable in Mario Kart.
I like it in Mario
memorable
Kart.
in any game it's been in. I brought
my
It's-
childhood back.
It's memorable
fantastic game.
in Smash Brothers, which is not a racing game. Regardless,
I
the
specifically
music.
excluded Smash Brothers from this tier list because Smash Brothers is cheating.
Smash
we
Brothers
cannot
is
base
cheating.
the music based on Smash Brothers having
Here's
it
the
being
thing.
hyped in Smash Brothers. It has to be hyping its goddamn games, AJ.
The only reason I know of F-Zero specifically is because of Smash Brothers, and the only reason I seem to identify with the music is because of Smash Brothers. So if that means it has to be, I don't know, C tier, then so be it.
It should be
I
A tier.
think it's good enough. I think it's good enough in the music alone is good enough wherever it pops up that it doesn't deserve the D tier. It deserves at the very least C tier.
Can I
Okay.
stump for F-Zero for a second? Go for it.
Yeah, please.
This is a game where I got to play it on the Super Nintendo when it launched, and I was very excited to play my hands on it. And it is a tough racing game. It is hard to learn and hard to play. It's on the Virtual Console or whatever we're calling it now, the Nintendo Online. and you can play there. And it is not an easy game to play, but it's a game that I got very good at. And the one thing I will say that F-Zero does well in terms of music that no other brand does for Nintendo is that it sounds completely different than everything else they've got on their roster. You'll hear a lot of similar sounds in a lot of their music, but this is because it's the only future Nintendo franchise. They do find a way to nail that, like that synthetic future feel that I think is
almost a cyberpunk like feel.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
F-Zero has this strong cyberpunk like story-ish with the Blue Falcon and the Black Falcon, and all the different racers. And there was actually a Nintendo Power in the back of Nintendo Power. They actually had a comic about it for a little while. But yeah, no, the music in F-Zero should be higher, and I would actually say it's A tier because I think it's excellent, and I think it's better than the game in a lot of ways because the game is way too tough, which is probably why we haven't seen a new one. They need a baby mode version of it if they're going to ever re-release it. But the music sets it apart from every other Nintendo franchise, and they've not done anything similar to that since.
Because weirdos like Mitch don't like it.
Yeah, he's just like, let's make it a D tier because I don't know F-Zero.
It's not that I don't know it. I've played these games, but I've played them more as an adult, so there's no nostalgia to it for me, and it does just feel like another bad SNES racing game.
But it's more than
maybe
just
that's just me. Cozy, what do you think about
game.
F-Zero?
I think that it should go at A tier. I think the music of the F-Zero series, again, like AJ, it's one of those things where like I've largely been exposed to it via just Smash Bros. I have very little experience playing the actual games themselves, but that music, oh man, it really does get you pumped up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Nathan and Cozy would say A, Mitch would say D, I would say C. Should we settle on B?
I guess we kind of have to.
Content with that. All right. B tier. But just because I made that concession, we're now going to talk about my favorite franchise of all time. How about that?
I guess so.
Get it, Chris.
I don't see Hatsune Miku on
damn
here.
it. Pokemon is there. We're talking about Pokemon because Pokemon's soundtracks are phenomenal.
They have that I Want to Be the Very Best song in it.
That's the anime.
Yeah, it's the anime.
That's the only song I
Not the
remember from
games.
Pokemon.
Cozy, I queued you up something that you could drop in the stream if you want in the video, but Pokemon has always done such a great job of building a soundtrack around the thematics of the game. None better, I would argue, than what they did with the most recent edition, Sword and Shield. Even going so far as to get the composer of what's it called, a game I never finished because that's all of them, to come in and do the Battle Tower sound.
Toby Fox,
yes.
the creator of Undertale.
Toby Fox.
So this is a Toby Fox composed and arranged soundtrack that plays in Pokemon Sword and Shield when you are battling in the Battle Tower. It's pretty good, I will say.
How did that not hype you up?
It's pretty good, I will say. I didn't play much in the Battle Tower, so it's not something that immediately comes to mind. Is it a little bit low, by the way?
No, it's probably about right.
Okay.
So for me, I didn't do Battle Tower much either, but it was more so like whenever I was playing online, this is what I was choosing because it's just so hype and it got me pumped every time. But just throughout the franchise, you've had things like Snowbell City with really nice kind of like dulcet tones and like everything that this franchise does around music. It's something special. We all remember what Lavender Town sounds like, except maybe Nathan.
Yeah.
What's Lavender Town?
Cozy, can you cue up Lavender Town for us from the original Pokemon games?
Not a problem.
It's just there's so much theming they do, especially in the older games with so little palette to work with. That it's so memorable, and for me, it's S tier, and that's not just because it's my favorite franchise of all time, but because the music is great.
Is it possible you might have heard this track like in memes before, Nathan? Like, is this theme ringing a bell for you at all?
No, is this from the first Pokemon game?
Yes.
Because I played that Pokemon game, and this doesn't sound familiar to me at all.
Yeah, this is a pretty like iconic, but iconic in sort of the uncomfortable way.
Yeah. This song really creeps me out, and like that's the purpose of it.
That's the point.
That's the whole point. I'm gonna put a link in the thing for you, Cozy, and it's actually going to be a cover because I think it enhances the original version of this song so incredibly much, and probably one of the most intense moments of Pokemon is Gold and Silver, when you, at the very, very end, after you beat the Elite Four and you go through the Kanto region, spoilers.
Spoilers for a 20-year-old game, it's fine.
Absolutely. Some people need to experience this, but the metal remix version of the battle against Red, Champion Red, at the end of the very end of the game, at the top of Mount Silver, is so good. I can't. It just, it makes me feel so good inside. Almost like I peed myself.
One of the themes that I really like, we don't have to cue it up or anything, is at the end of, I think it was Gen 4, you have this final fight with the leader of Team Galactic. Mm-hmm. And the whole way through the game, this character is very monotone, very to the point, very, very kind of like standoffish. And the music does such a good job of unsettling you in that fight because he's so kind of one note or very monotone that the music almost plays into it in a real, like, it's still hype, but it also holds back enough to make you feel a little uncomfortable in the situation. It's just what the composers have done with these soundtracks through the years is nothing short of, phenomenal. So I know where I would put it, but I want to hear what everyone else has to say.
Like, I'm in agreement that the soundtracks of the Pokemon games are very memorable and that it should rank high. I will say, and this is a weird criticism, but listen to me on this one. I think it's a little disappointing that for so long of a period of time, the Pokemon games kind of relegate themselves to handheld systems, in that I feel like that kind of restricted them, hardware and software wise, from, being able to output more higher quality tunes in the way that like the Zelda series or the Metroid series or Nintendo's other franchises that primarily thrived on home consoles were not. And when I think back to, like, for example, the Diamond and Pearl generation, the Black and White generation, the Ruby and Sapphire generation, all games with fantastic soundtracks, but also like soundtracks that are very much limited by like the Game Boy Advance and DS's music chips at the same time. You know what I mean? I
personally think once, like, Gen 3's music was fine, but it's very trumpety. Does that make sense?
I like the trumpets, for the record, but I'm not going to sit here and die on a hill saying it's the best in the series.
No.
Yeah, that's not my favorite thing. And there's a couple good standout tracks here and there, but for me, much like Pokemon in general, the music kind of peaked at second generation. Even though
Gen 5, baby.
Even though I enjoyed a lot of the others as like story wise and everything, they were fun. The only ones I haven't played are Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield. And Black and White 2. I didn't play that. But I played everything else, and it just, none of them. Maybe it's just a timing thing for me, but none of them are as memorable as the first two generations. But
can I throw a bit of a curveball in you wanting to like focus just on those two gens?
Yeah.
The peak in those two generations was probably Stadium and Stadium 2. In terms of music, because it finally came to console, it had a little more to work with in terms of palette. The soundtracks in those games were great.
I definitely, when I think about the stadium games, the first thing that comes to mind are the mini games, and those had pretty good soundtracks as well.
Yeah, they did.
Personally, I think we should put Pokemon at A.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And
I would say that
it's partially a combination of my criticism earlier about, the Pokemon soundtracks being restricted by the weaker chipsets of the handheld consoles that they were on for so long, but also it's just because like we have a stacked tier list to go through with regards to all the other Nintendo franchises ahead of us, and I feel like it would be a little bit presumptuous to immediately put it at S tier when we have Metroid and Donkey Kong and Zelda and so on and so forth to go through.
Not one, maybe one game in the entirety of those franchises you just mentioned. It has better music
Xenoblade
than
Chronicles, Splatoon 2, Pikmin. Come on, Mitch.
I will die on this hill that Pokemon is an S rank franchise when it comes to music, but if you're going to put it A rank, you're going to put it A rank, and I'm going to want to put everything else below it, so it's fine.
All right. What's next?
The only franchise here there's two franchises here I think give Pokemon a run for their money, so let's kind of save those until later.
Sure.
Let's talk about Fire Emblem, which I only put on here because of Alex, and he's not here. So who else is into Fire Emblem?
No.
I've never played a Fire Emblem.
No joke.
I've played Smash.
They gave away a Fire Emblem game. I believe it was Fire Emblem the Sacred Stones as part of the 3DS program, the ambassador program. That's right. And I tried playing that game like 3 times from the beginning, and I couldn't quite get into it. But I also I understand that that was one of the earlier Fire Emblems, and that more recent Fire Emblems have done a tremendous amount of legwork to really kind of get you into them and really make the quality of life aspect of them as tip top as possible. So I don't hold my experience with that game against the series, but other than that, I don't have much experience with it.
Yeah.
So because Alex ditched us, we're going to put it lower, right?
No, I don't think that's fair. I mean, again, this is one of those cases where I have largely enjoyed the.
Can you judge the music from Smash? I mean,
exactly,
there's
through Smash.
80 different. There's 80 Fire Emblem characters in there. There's got to be a bunch of music for it.
Yeah,
nothing that really stands out to me that I remember. Honestly,
I'm gonna Google.
It all kind of blends together.
I'm gonna Google best Fire Emblem song, and see what pops up.
I actually have Fire Emblem theme. Now, this is the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate rendition of the theme song, but again, we have all come to the Fire Emblem series' music through this game, so I feel like we have to at least give this, Smash Bros. A nod when we're talking about this.
Oh, sure. Use it for Fire Emblem, but not for Pokemon. I see how it is.
Well, I mean, you didn't ask for any Pokemon themes from the Smash Bros. games.
I said earlier that we weren't going to look at Smash Brothers.
I think in this, where it's our only relevant experience with the franchise, and to not do a disservice.
Yeah.
You guys don't like following my rules. I get it. It's fine. Whatever.
That's what you get for cheating in the game last week and somehow pulling out that win.
I won. I was reluctant to win.
Debatable.
I'm good. It was, but winner number 1 right here.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about this. It's very operatic.
I don't remember this.
I did some Smash Brothers fights to this music, and it's fine. It's not as good as fzero's music.
I'll agree with
no, it is not.
It's a good operatic or like orchestral swell and everything in there, but it's just
we go in
generic
we go
one
in
of those.
Tier.
I would go B tier. I feel like it not dissimilar to the F-Zero series soundtrack. I feel like it does a good job of taking this sort of medievally, high fantasy music and kind of Nintendo-fying it, making it into something a little bit more replayable, something you can listen to loops on end if it's your jam to begin with. Of course, this is all subjective, so I mean it doesn't particularly matter in the end where we rank it, but I would put it at B.
I'd probably go with C tier personally.
I would go with C as well.
If we're comparing Smash Brothers experience to both games, which is my introduction to both series for Fire Emblem and F-Zero, I think Fire Emblem is not as good or interesting as F-Zero in terms of the music. So C tier.
All right. Looks like
Sorry, Alex.
it's going to be C tier. Yeah, it's not a problem. I don't again, I don't have much history with this series, so I don't have like a huge attachment to it. So
I
doesn't really matter. The other
I told
Alex.
him
You're
I told
Cozy,
him-
he's Alex.
I told him to jump into the chat and give us some hot musical takes, and he hasn't done that, so fuck him.
All right.
Yeah, basically. All right, Nathan, now time for some of your hot musical takes. Let's talk about Animal Crossing.
Ooh, I was going to say we should talk about Animal Crossing.
Well, I beat you to it. Let's talk about Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I think Animal Crossing is excellent. I think it's an A tier. I won't put it at S tier because there isn't necessarily like those huge standout moments. I know the games that should be S tier. But I think it's really solid. Every hour of that game has a different song playing in the background with a jazz infusion. At least I'm speaking to New Horizons because that's all I've played for Animal Crossing. But then beyond that, you have all the separate music. There's like 70 or 80 different songs in there that will play as well, that KK has from KK Slider. But there's music that you haven't even heard in this game if you haven't played at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. that plays. That's like this slow jazz. They seem to manage to get the music to fit just the time of the day perfectly that you're playing that game at.
Isn't
that a bit of a detriment to the game, though? Like, it's great that they've gone to that extent, but if there's all this stuff in there you're going to miss.
I don't know. I think that's how varied it is.
I would consider that accessibility, because not everybody's going to be privileged enough to work a 9 to 5. I used to have to work on a night shift, and sometimes that would be the only time I get to play a game, would be like on the weekend, because at that time of night, because I'm awake, that's when I have to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's just how I feel in regards to that. But for me personally, with Animal Crossing, it's good music, but it also is made to just be in the background, just as background noise more than anything.
Kind of a weird comparison to make, but the music of the Animal Crossing series is very similar to the music of, say, a game like Silent Hill, where it's meant to be atmospheric and enhance the very distinctive tone of the world around you, and it's not really meant to be an earworm in the way that, say, like Donkey Kong or Kid Icarus or like Mario music is meant to be.
Where do we want to put Animal Crossing?
I put it in A, but like we all have to take the vote on it. Here, Cozy, I'm just trying to pull up some of the nighttime music for you. Give me 2 seconds here.
Not a problem.
I think for me personally, it's probably a B tier.
That's where I'm leaning.
I don't think it can, unfortunately for games like Animal, it's weird because I feel like the music is better than F-Zero, but it's not as good as Pokemon. So what I'm thinking, and hear me out here, is that this is A tier for sure because it does fit into that middle ground, and Pokemon is 100% an S tier franchise.
There, Cozy, I just sent you a sample of some nighttime music.
Oh, yep.
How do we feel about that?
I think, Mitch, if Pokemon music didn't peak at Gen 2, then we'd be fine.
Except it didn't. It's just that
I think
you haven't really heard it past.
I absolutely have.
Don't make me go and find you more tracks. Don't make me go and find you more tracks. It didn't stick with you because you didn't really. I mean, you said
I played the shit out of those. I played the shit out of those.
Did you though? You haven't even played Sword and Shield. Do you even Pokemon, bro?
Not anymore, apparently. But up until that point.
I'm a controversial take. I'm actually totally fine ranking this at A.
Yeah.
If Pokemon goes to S tier, right, Cozy?
If Pokemon goes to S tier, no.
Yeah, 100%.
No.
I still think this is B.
It's B for me if Pokemon isn't going to S.
This is good.
This is not to the level
jazz.
of Pokemon.
Can we create a tier between A and B that's just Animal Crossing?
No, because there's A and then there's S, which is where Pokemon should be, and then there's A where Animal Crossing should be.
Why don't we just put it under A, under Pokemon?
So at B, you mean?
I say B.
Well, I meant beside Pokemon, I guess, not under.
Based on where Pokemon is right now, this is B tier. For me personally. So we're split.
Again,
So
put
we
it
don't have a
between A
tiebreaker.
and B. Put Animal Crossing between A and B at its own
Carmen.
tier called Animal Crossing.
Carmen. Hey.
Did you just wake her up?
Kind of. You know Animal Crossing, right? Would you say its music is better or worse than Pokemon? Or the same? Fuck.
What'd she say?
Oh, so Animal
No.
Crossing's going S tier is what you're saying.
No,
and
she
Pokemon's
said
staying at A.
she said the same, so
Oh, it's
A tier
again.
it is.
Okay.
Damn, honey.
Put it in front of
That's what I
Pokemon just to make
Don't do that.
Mitch angry.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I will leave right now if you do that.
I'm gonna do it on my
Move on.
personal list.
You do it wherever you want to do it, because on my personal list, Pokemon is S tier and everything else can eat a lemon. Let's move on to Kid Icarus, because this is a franchise that hasn't gotten a ton of love over the years.
I've never
Um,
played one.
I've played the 3DS one.
I've played everyone in the series, including the weird Game Boy one, which is actually not bad, but just is kind of obscure. So the thing is that, you know, obviously the original Kid Icarus' soundtrack is iconic, but it's also, you know, an 8-bit soundtrack, and that only carries you so far. The soundtrack for Kid Icarus Uprising the thing is, you know, over the course of this conversation, we've went back and forth on should we not include Smash Bros. Soundtracks in evaluating each franchise's soundtrack. And Kid Icarus' Uprising soundtrack is basically what if we took a Smash Bros. Soundtrack but made it into a soundtrack for an action-adventure game. There's one track that I pulled up just a little bit earlier that I wanted to sample for you guys. This plays in a level called Wrath of the Reset Bomb. The premise, it's kind of hard to describe. Basically, Pit is flying up to a factory that's making these bombs that create a lot of plants, and he's going to go and destroy them. And like, just soak this track in, because it basically is like, as I said earlier, what if we took a Smash Bros. Soundtrack but we made the music custom made for an original game and didn't, like, you know, remix or remake a pre-existing music. It's quite good and quite underrated, much like Kid Icarus Uprising as a whole.
Yeah, honestly, for me, Kid Icarus Uprising is one of the biggest surprises for me on the 3DS, in that this was the game that Sakurai worked on between Smash Brothers titles, so between Brawl and the Wii U game, I believe. Cozy, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yes, that's correct.
And it blew me away in terms of the mechanics, in terms of the way the game played, and especially the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's too bad that apparently, like, remaking a 3DS game on the Switch is really difficult, because more people needed to experience this game, and it's understandable why it didn't get everyone in, because it had that really weird control scheme thing going on, but oh well.
It came with its own dock for the 3DS, because you had to put the game down to play it. It was that complex.
Which I didn't even end up using. I just bared with the weirdness of how you were supposed to move your finger on it.
I used it because I didn't want to get carpal tunnel.
Was that the boat that you had to put the 3DS in?
No, this is like a
that was
stand.
for Monster Hunter. This was a stand, so you could use one hand for the stylus without having to, like, because you also had to use the trigger
without cramping your hand, but your hand still cramped anyway. At least mine did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in terms of pure soundtrack, I feel like this is on par with Pokemon. And you know how much I've been fighting for Pokemon today. So, like, you know where I would have put this. But we're not. So, where do we think Kid Icarus, as a franchise, falls on this top tier list?
I have no horse in this race, so I'll let you guys figure this out.
I think Once again, this is somebody else who my only introduction is Smash.
It's fine. We can change the rules halfway through and put Pokemon lower than it should be if you didn't look at Smash. But whatever.
So it needs to be B then, Pokemon?
No, Pokemon should be it. We're not getting back into this. Where should Kid Icarus fall on this tier list?
I'm gonna say B.
B. Cozy, what are you thinking?
On the basis that there just aren't that many games in the series, I'm okay with putting it at B as well. I think, when we talk about Donkey Kong, Mario, and Metroid, all these other franchises as having great soundtracks, I think we can say that with confidence because there are so many games that so consistently have great soundtracks. Kid Icarus Uprising had a great soundtrack, but it wasn't like there was another Kid Icarus Uprising that also had a great soundtrack that is reinforcing the idea that Kid Icarus has great music. So yeah, I'm fine with putting it at B.
I was going to say A, but I've been outvoted, so it's fine. It'll go to B.
Wow.
Right.
I'm checking out this stand.
It's weird, right?
It was
and
stupid.
it was sold separately.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I got mine with my game.
There may have been like a pre-order bonus.
I think if you bought it early enough
at EB.
Yeah. No, I think it was just part of the box because I remember there was like a bigger box that the game was inside of that had the stand.
Maybe.
Let's talk about Kirby.
That's the Kirby music.
Good talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Kirby. What does everyone feel about the Kirby franchise music?
It is what it is.
It's music.
Is
it particularly memorable?
Yeah, it is memorable. I'm being a little bit dour. It's just because the Kirby's don't interest me all that much to begin with. I just don't feel inclined to rank it super highly. But
I think the main Kirby song and the Kirby Dreamland song is good. It's a great song for it totally encompasses what Kirby is, just a cute little puffball or whatever. I don't know if it's necessarily great.
I think it fits the aesthetic of these games so well that, and Cozy, there's a link for you if you want it. The game was made, or the music was made for this game with what this game is, and it's fun, it's jovial, it gets cute. It's cute music because Kirby's a cute character, and it can get dark at times when you've got certain boss battles and stuff like that. But overall, Kirby music is just it's cute, and I think it gets the job done for what Kirby's meant to be. Honestly,
yeah.
This is the thing I always remember playing that first level of Kirby.
Yeah,
everyone remembers the
Kirby's
first level, just like we all remember 1-1 of Super Mario Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm feeling this.
I really don't have too many thoughts. You guys go and cast your votes, and I'll be the tiebreaker.
I'm gonna say this is a B.
Yeah, it should be a B as well.
I'm okay with B. Honestly, that's fine.
All right, Kirby goes.
Go ahead, Cozy.
It's better, but it's fine.
What's your tie-breaking vote? You need to say it.
Well,
He doesn't say anything.
it doesn't matter because you all voted for B.
Yeah, but where would you have put it?
I would have put it at K for Kirby.
Okay. Knack tier.
Remember the time we created a knack tier? We should have a knack tier in this.
I mean, if we had a knack tier in this, it would be this next game, and this next game is Pikmin. Because it's whatever.
I love
I've
the
never
Pikmin
played
games.
Anyone remember the Pikmin music?
You should play Pikmin 3 when it comes out on Switch. It's a very good game.
Didn't it already come out?
You mean the game that
Did it
came out
already
like
come out?
6 months ago?
No, it came out. Pikmin 3 came out on.
It came out October 2020. On the Switch.
Okay. Yeah, to no fanfare, but it's actually very good. It's actually very good. I played it on the Wii U.
I'd also like to point out that
6,000 people that played it on the Wii U.
It came out with no fanfare in a drought of Nintendo games, and nobody still cared.
Yeah.
It came out in a year where we got 3 games, I think, from Nintendo first party. One of them was Clubhouse games.
Everybody was still excited for Cyberpunk at that point. So
yeah, Cyberpunk definitely took the wind out of the sails of Pikmin 3 Deluxe on the Switch.
Hell yeah. I mean, you joke, but that's exactly what happened. Nobody cared because everybody cared about Cyberpunk, and then everybody was disappointed. They should have probably played Pikmin.
The Pikmin games are great. I really vouch for them. The problem is that the Pikmin game soundtrack is very Animal Crossing-esque, where it is meant to enhance the tone of what is going on.
More background music.
In fact, when I think about like some of my most memorable moments from the Pikmin series, like they don't even involve music at all. In Pikmin 2, there are these like cavernous dungeons that you can descend down into, and I'm pretty certain that like on many of the floors of the dungeons, there isn't even any music at all. And that is, to those dungeons' benefit, the lack of music, I think, really enhances the like sinister-ish atmosphere of them. Like it makes you really feel kind of like isolated and alone. But obviously that doesn't work in favor of Pikmin in its ranking on this list.
Yeah, like I'm listening to this on my own right now, and it's just
generic.
It's just background. It's just background noise, honestly, for me. I think this is our first D tier game.
D tier.
D tier.
Okay.
Oof.
Nothing about this music is memorable to me. What does everyone else think?
I'm okay putting it at C tier, personally.
Me too.
All
We
right,
need
Nathan?
some more variety to this list. Everything is a C, a B, or an A.
But
Come
I mean,
on.
but like that's just goes to
Spicy
show
hot
just how
takes.
high quality
I just
Nintendo
think it
music
shows that
is.
Nintendo has good music.
Yeah.
Spicy hot
Yeah.
takes. Pikmin is a D tier franchise, and it is a D tier soundtrack.
You're a D tier.
Wasn't there
That
somebody
may
at
or
Kind of
may
Funny
not be the
Games
case,
Daily
but I
saying that
still
it
stick by
was
what I say.
saying that was a top 2 franchise for Nintendo?
Who
Pikmin.
said that?
On Kind of Funny Games Daily a few weeks ago.
They can say
There was
whatever
somebody
they
in the
want.
chat.
I know what I think.
No, Pikmin has something going for it in terms of the game itself. It's very niche.
Pikmin is
it deserves better.
Pikmin is to
Yes, it does deserve better, but as it is today, it's bottom of the barrel.
Pikmin is to RTS games what like Pokemon was to JRPGs, where it took this sort of like kind of complicated genre and made it really easy and approachable. But unfortunately, unlike Pokemon, it didn't really kind of capture the mainstream's attention in the way that perhaps it should have, which is why we have not gotten too many of them.
D tier.
C.
Someone agree with
Nathan.
me.
What do you think?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I've never played a Pikmin game. I have no idea about the music. I feel like I should abstain from voting.
Mitch, can you call Carmen and see what she thinks about the Pikmin game
Why?
soundtrack?
It's 2 against 1.
Well,
If Nathan's abstaining, I said D. The 2 of you said C. That says it.
all right, then. I guess Pikmin's going to go at C. What's next?
I don't care. Y'all pick.
Considering it's kind of like the odd one out. You said Metroid?
I did, unless you want to do something different.
I was going to go with Xenoblade Chronicles because it's kind of like the odd one out of the current shortlist we have left. But I don't know. What do you guys want to do?
We can do that.
All right,
I have no input on Xenoblade either, so.
Yeah, I have nothing for Xenoblade. I just put it in there. Does anyone have anything for Xenoblade?
Yes. Give me a second. So the thing about Xenoblade Chronicles is, you guys remember Operation Rainfall?
Nope.
No.
It was like this like fan kind of initiative back in the day to basically get Nintendo to localize Xenoblade Chronicles, The Last Story, which is the game by Mistwalker, the studio headed up by Hironobu Sakaguchi of Final Fantasy fame, and also Pandora's Tower, which was this other like obscure Japanese game. All 3 of these games were released on the Wii towards the end of its life cycle, but there was no sign showing that they were going to be localized for North America. And in the final kind of drought-like months of the Wii's life cycle, Operation Rainfall was started, which is this fan campaign to basically bring these games over to the West. It's at least in part because of that campaign that we got Xenoblade Chronicles, and it became such a big deal here. And I will say I kind of somewhat participated in that campaign when it was active, and I actually followed through. And when Xenoblade Chronicles was released over here on the Wii, I actually got it on the Wii, and I didn't unfortunately play a whole lot of it. But what I did play, I enjoyed of it, and I did definitely enjoy the soundtracks that I heard from it. What you're hearing right now is a soundtrack in the game called Mechanical Rhythm. I don't think I got far enough in the game to hear this specific track, but it's sort of like the Xenoblade soundtrack when people talk about the series music and why it's awesome.
That fucking rips.
Yeah, it's a battle theme, as I'd imagine you can probably imagine.
Huh. That's really that's really good.
I should play these games.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it.
I don't have time, says me, who just keeps playing hours and hours of Outriders, doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Welcome to my life with Avengers.
Oh, I hate it.
It's all right. Returnal and Pokemon Snap this week.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, Nick, you're probably right. I probably wouldn't like them. We got distracted. So Xenoblade Chronicles. Where do we want to put Xenoblade Chronicles?
If we're just ranking based on that song, I think it has to go A tier.
I
put it above Pokemon.
Okay with that. I don't know if I put it above
with
Pokemon.
Instead, I don't think it's equivalent to Pokemon because I don't have enough to go on in terms of familiarity. But if everyone else is saying A tier, then fine.
It kind of goes back to what I was saying with Kid Icarus Uprising, where Kid Icarus Uprising alone has a great soundtrack, but there are not too many other Kid Icarus games aside from that one. Xenoblade Chronicles, there is Xenoblade Chronicles, and there's also Xenoblade Chronicles X, and then 2. So, we have a history of good soundtracks across multiple games, and not just a single game, and I feel like that's worth something. All right. Do we want to do Metroid next?
Sure, let's do it. Metroid. What do we think about Metroid?
S tier.
I might be tempted to agree with Nathan on this one, but I want to hear what the two of you think.
I think, I don't think Metroid stands out as much as, say, a Mario or a Zelda, but it's right below a Mario or a Zelda and should probably be A tier.
What I like about the music of the Metroid series is I feel like it's sort of like the missing link, as it were, the gear connecting like more atmospheric-y sounding soundtracks, like the soundtracks for an Animal Crossing game or a Silent Hill game, with like the more action-packed, in-the-moment style soundtracks of like a Zelda game or a Mario game. It kind of exists in that like middle space in between very comfortably, and for that reason I feel like it needs to rank high. But ultimately I think it's kind of the fate of where Metroid will rank is in your hands at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we negotiate over this?
Not if it's a moving Pokemon.
Fuck. It's going to give you S rank if you give Pokemon S rank.
No, this deserves an S rank. Pokemon didn't.
It does.
Oh, shit.
More goddamn examples?
When I think of Metroid Prime, I definitely think of the atmospheric music that it has, and it has a very well blended like transitions into and out of combat. When I think of Metroid Prime, like you go into a room and there's going to be a little bit of combat in there, and however long it takes you, and then the music kind of fades out. Similar to like, say, Halo, whatever Martin O'Donnell did with that, in terms of dynamic music, that's how Metroid feels. Whether or not it does it, I don't know, but it helps in a very Aliens-like way enhance the overall experience.
I think Aliens is a good way to talk about it. There's a very lone and solitary feeling about the music in Metroid, and it helps create that environment that you're alone on this alien planet, trying to stop the aliens. And I think as I'm going to say the word alien one more time, as AJ points out, it gives you that feeling of the movie Alien, which has some of the best music.
I have pulled up, this is the second overworld theme that you hear on Talon 4 in Metroid Prime. You hear it like a little bit later into the game, and basically it's like a little bit more. Hold on a second. So for context, I mute most of the browsers whenever I open up a video on YouTube, and I had forgotten to unmute this one. Here we go. And yeah, this whole track is basically, I feel like it does a really good job of kind of conveying that Samus has been on Talon 4 for a while. A lot of the kind of plant and wildlife on the planet has, begun to wake up, and what's initially seemed like a kind of sleepy planet with potentially little of interest is actually really teeming with life and mystery and intrigue. And again, really kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about a really good link between atmospheric music and like engaging, earworm music.
You know what? Just listening to this is giving me such Halo vibes that I have to give it S tier.
Okay,
to S tier.
But before you do that, Cozy, I've put 5 links in the podcast chat. Please pick and choose from any of them as arguments for why Pokemon has to move up as well.
Okay.
We don't have time for that.
Yes, we do. I will make time for it.
Let's see. Number 1 is the red and blue opening theme music. Number 2 is the fire red, leaf green trainer battle music. Number 3 is red and blue Route 1. Number 4 is routes 209 and 212 during the day in Diamond and Pearl. And the 5th one is Gym Leader and Elite 4 in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. You know what? I've not heard the 5th one because I never played Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So let's go and listen to that.
You didn't?
Because it wasn't good.
This soundtrack slaps.
I never said that didn't slap.
The game notwithstanding, the way they've reimagined this, even because it's been on GBA or Game Boy, GBA, and now Switch, and this composition is just phenomenal.
So what I'm hearing, Mitch, is the best one out of the ones there were from Gen 1 and or Gen 2.
I pulled the Gen 1
remake of a remake.
I wanted to try and pull on your heartstrings. The games across the entire franchise have phenomenal music. And motherfucker, you even showed me examples of one track from one game you haven't played and put it at the same level as Pokemon.
Here's the thing. I just listened to your Diamond and Pearl one there, and it is not as good as this. Not even close. Not even close.
It's also more than 10 years older with a more limited chipset, and they did phenomenal things with that chip.
Yeah, and look what they did with this. They look what they did with that. They could enhance it and make it that much better.
Yeah, but just imagine what that Gen 4 one is going to sound like at the end of this year when they've remade it on the Switch. It's going to be phenomenal.
Too many trumpets.
Can we get back
we
to
decided Metroid was S tier, right?
Pokemon needs to be S tier.
I think Metroid needs to be S tier.
And so does Pokemon. Glad we're in agreement.
So Pokemon Metroid's moving to S tier.
Cozy,
Pokemon
do it.
is still A tier.
Yeah. Cozy, do it.
I already moved Metroid to S tier. I've already done it.
Cozy, you know you want to. Do
Mitch, there is the protagonist of the Metroid series is named Samus Aran. Samus starts with S. It's Destiny. Metroid has to go to S tier.
Right, but I can name. If I can name you
the character of
10 Pokemon off the top of my head that start with S,
so he's A tier.
Can we move him to S tier?
Pokemon has Ash as its main person. It should be A tier.
Yeah, but if I can come up with 10 Pokemon off the top of my head that start with S, can we move it?
No, this feels like a bad precedent to start.
Try me.
Mitch, you have 5 more games that you can use to argue for Pokemon moving up. Let's move on. And it's literally 10 p.m. as of me saying this sentence. So I think that we need to, yeah.
All right, Donkey Kong is D tier because Donkey Kong starts with D. Let's move on.
Jesus.
Whoa, that's the president we want to set. Oh, Samus Aran starts with this. Donkey Kong starts with D. D tier, damn it.
I think Donkey Kong should be A tier.
Nope.
Based on the history of the music.
D tier.
This is the David Wise composed track Stickerbush Symphony from Donkey Kong Country 2. Come on, Mitch. Come on.
And this is Super Nintendo. Keep in mind, they're doing this on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and you're giving me crap about stuff that was getting done on the GBA and the DS.
Yeah,
but it wasn't as good.
Donkey Kong starts with D. It's D tier.
Definitely.
Let's move on.
Definitely feels like an A tier.
Hell yeah.
Why?
Honestly, I think the Donkey Kong franchise overall is a little bit more of a B tier in terms of music. Everybody loves like the Tropical Freeze soundtrack, and everything I heard of that, not really into it.
I will say that I didn't enjoy the Retro Studios Donkey Kong game soundtracks as much as the original trilogy. Even with Tropical Freeze, where they brought back David Wise to compose a bunch of stuff, I didn't cling to that one as much. Some people are going to be super mad at me for saying this, but I mean, like, if we want to put it at B, and that will all get us to agree on it and call it a day, I have a
reason why it should be D tier. I have a reason it should be D tier, and the link is there for you. This is the reason why this franchise is D tier. You can't take the good without the bad.
Okay,
you just have the SNES trilogy without the Donkey Kong rap from Donkey Kong 64.
You are making an argument that
actually
might
this should
push
be
it up.
S tier.
No,
this should go to S tier now.
Pushing that up.
The Donkey Kong rap is great.
With you?
Did you watch any of my Smash Brothers streams? When I would fight Donkey Kong, I would sing the shit out of this song with the game because it is so fucking good.
I think you've made a good argument to move this to S.
Awful. No. I give you all those Pokemon bangers, and then this one. No. Donkey Kong. I hate my life.
Oh yeah, I'm grooving to this.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that whether you think that the Donkey Kong rap is great or an abomination, I don't think that this does anything to injure DK's placement on this list.
No, it doesn't injure it. No.
AJ, where do you ultimately feel it should go, A or B?
I still think B.
Okay. Nathan?
I'm fine either way between them. Cozy, I'll leave it up to you. You're the expert.
Mitch, do you have any
Donkey Kong?
I feel like just based on the math of where we're at, it kind of has to go at B, which is too bad because I kind of wanted it at A, but I have to respect the group.
Nothing is.
It's nice that you respect the process, Cozy, on one of your favorite franchises. I really appreciate the manliness it takes to do that.
All right, so where's the M tier if we're going to be talking about Mario and his brother Luigi? Now, let's start with Splatoon. How do we feel about Splatoon?
I mean, has another S in
I've heard
title.
the music because my kids play it. It's fun. It's very different.
Splatoon.
Very Japanese feeling.
The music of Splatoon is probably the thing about it I like the most.
I would agree with you there.
It's got a really good kind of rock sound, squid rock. I think they dubbed it
synth rock almost.
Yeah, but like aquatic in a very. It's hard to describe a sound as like a rock and roll as aquatic, but it's kind of there.
It's got that K-pop feeling as well.
Definitely.
Like they've managed to bring that into it.
Recently, a game called Balan Wonderworld came out, and Balan Wonderworld is a very music-heavy game that specifically features a made-up language whenever like it has a big musical moment. Splatoon is technically the same in that it is a very music heavy game with its own weird made up squid language, but hell, is it such a like dramatically better
tracks from the front
game by comparison? And so I wanted to bring that up to kind of point out how like I feel like there's an alternate universe, as evidenced by Balan Wonderworld, where the Splatoon soundtrack could have been very, forgettable or just not good or laughable, but they really made it work.
I just dropped a track for you, Cozy, if you want to pull it up. Probably one of my favorite tracks from Splatoon 2. It's real good. Real good. Should I think the timestamp worked correctly. I hope it did.
Yep, it worked correctly.
Cool.
Yeah, this is the one I know.
Yeah. Again, like having the soundtrack be entirely based around this made-up language could have been a recipe for disaster, but they make it work.
Just like The Sims.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with a band called Bandmade, but this reminds me of that.
No.
I think it's A tier.
As Cozy said earlier, I think we're running a little long. I'm with Nathan. I say A tier.
Me too.
A tier it is.
I'm fine putting it A tier. Let's do that.
All right. Now
it's very fun.
Let's move on to the Luigi's Mansion games, which I wanted to throw in here because I think they do something a little different in that we don't have anything from Nintendo that borderlines on horror survival, and this almost kind of touches not really on any of that. But
it's Ghostbusters more than anything.
Yeah, it's trying to be a little spookier, and for that I appreciate it. But
it also strays away from its influence of Mario as well, right?
Right.
In a few ways, it's really good and interesting in that way.
I only played the more recent one and I didn't love it, so I stopped playing it, but the music didn't stick out to me. I guess it was fine. Yeah, the Switch one. I guess it was Luigi's Mansion 3. I didn't love the controls. I don't think it controlled all that well.
It did not.
So,
Cozy, you want to hit us with a sample of a track?
Yeah, sure. Why not? So I have pulled up the main theme from Luigi's Mansion. One thing.
Maybe forward it a bit.
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe Again, it's very much in that same kind of atmospheric. There really isn't a lot about the score, the soundtrack that does a lot.
Like a Metroid, you're saying?
I'm realizing.
No, I'm saying more like an Animal Crossing.
The version of the Luigi's Mansion main theme that I pulled up is like it's like the kind that you kind of more hear when you're in the middle of the game, as opposed to like the kind of like more orchestrated, higher energy version that like we've probably heard in the Smash Bros series that I'm more familiar with. I will say though, listening to this reminds me of the fact that when you're in the middle of a Luigi's Mansion level, that you will occasionally hear Luigi humming along to the tracks in his games, which
that's always fun.
Is an aspect that I always appreciated as well.
Yeah, so this definitely gives like haunted mansion vibes, like it's a Disney-esque. Like spooky soundtrack, like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween or something like that. I still don't think it ranks very high, personally, but where do we all feel Luigi's Mansion as a franchise lands on our tier list?
I think they do very good things with it atmospherically, but I think Metroid handles it better.
Yeah.
That being said, Professor Egad has an S in his name, thanks to Professor, so I think we have to put it at S tier above Pokemon.
Again, you've got games on this list at B tier like Donkey Kong, like Kirby, like Kid Icarus. I don't think it holds a snuff to any of those, so if it's not a C tier game, then it's D tier for me.
I mean, all jokes aside, I would put it at C tier. I feel like it's right there.
I think it's D tier. Like, I'm okay if there's no games on the D tier for this because it's Nintendo and there's a high level of quality with it.
Okay, so C tier it is from the sounds of it.
All right.
Let's get to the big two. Do we want to just throw these at S tier and call it a day, or do we want to talk about them? This being the Legend of Zelda franchise and the Mario franchise.
I think we'd do a disservice if we didn't talk about them for a few seconds.
I think they're going to land at S tier regardless, but
yeah.
Okay,
but I think it's like
let's start with Zelda. What about Zelda's music?
Like, it's S tier. People know that song and they don't know Zelda.
Yeah.
Or they think the main character's name is Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, what if Zelda was a girl? Let's be real.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the Zelda, not only does Zelda have the good atmospheric music, every piece of music fits the situation that you're in, as well as they in some games incorporated music as part of the gameplay element, whether it be an ocarina or a Wind Waker conductor wand or what have you, or and the Majora's Mask, where depending on the mask you wore changed the instrument your ocarina brought out.
Cozy, if you want, I dropped a link to one of my favorite Zelda medleys of all time, and this is the one arranged and composed for Video Games Live, which is just seeing this performed live was goosebumps. Granted, seeing the Pokemon theme song performed live with the vocalist who did the original song also brought me to tears, but that's a story for another day. But this arrangement is just phenomenal.
You actually reminded me. I didn't go to Video Games Live, but I did go to the traveling Legend of Zelda concert show.
Me too.
I don't remember what it was called, but yes, I went to the one when it came to Montreal.
Hyrule Symphony, I think.
Yes, that's right.
Sounds right. So, it's a no-brainer at this point that this franchise is going to S tier, right?
Symphony of the Goddesses is what it was called.
Yes, that's right.
But yeah, I went to 3 of their concerts. I went to 2 in Toronto, and I went to 1 in Hawaii, and it was phenomenal every time.
Yeah, what was great about those concerts, and this is just for the audience I was part of, is that, when every single composition would start, it wouldn't be obvious right at the front, like, oh, is this from Twilight Princess? Is this from The Wind Waker? Is this from A Link to the Past? And then eventually, like, that 1 or 2 notes would hit where it would become obvious, oh, this is from Twilight Princess, this is from The Wind Waker, and the crowd would go real wild. So that was real magical.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, if we're talking about symphonic tours that went around for video game franchises and how that makes them S tier games, Pokemon had that.
Did they?
Let's talk about Mario now.
I never saw it.
Pokemon Symphonic Evolutions.
Yeah, so Zelda goes S tier.
Yep,
Zelda goes S tier. And the Post Malone virtual concert thingy that just happened, that was a thing.
That was bad.
That was great.
Bad.
Cover of a Hootie the Blowfish song with him flying around Pokemon or something.
Didn't watch that.
I would watch it. It was a weird time.
I don't do well with cringe.
Mario is S tier for the Galaxy and Galaxy 2 soundtracks alone.
Those are very
then you throw in Odyssey, then you throw in 64, then there's so much that goes into this, and Cozy's bringing up.
If we had a step above S tier,
I'm so happy.
Don't play the music of that one.
It's muted. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we had a spot above S, I would put Mario there because of Mario Odyssey alone.
Okay, legitimately, and this is me being the biggest Pokemon fan in the world, I would move all of these down to have Mario be the only S tier franchise.
No, Zelda is, honestly, in my ranking, Zelda is number 1 in terms of video game music, and somewhere below that is in general. Zelda and Halo tie.
See, Persona is
Dude,
my number
we
one.
got to talk about that Halo soundtrack because I finished that this week. Oh my god, dude.
It's so fucking good.
It's so fucking good. Back to Mario. What's so good about Mario?
What's the song they play in called in New Donk City?
Jump Up Superstar?
Jump Up
Something like that?
Superstar.
I Feel Safe in New Donk City by AC/DC.
I was about to rap.
No, Mario is very good music. And Odyssey is very, very good, but it teeters to me on that line of
Be careful with this one, Cozy.
a lot of it being background music.
Yeah.
To me, it all blends into the background really, really well and adds to the not the atmosphere like a Zelda or a Metroid adds to the atmosphere, but the atmosphere.
It kind of just becomes part of the gameplay experience. It doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't augment. It doesn't detract. It's just it's a core element to those experiences.
It's additive to the toy that is a Mario game, where something like a Zelda and Metroid, it draws you so far into the experience. So I would actually, controversial, I know, probably put this at A tier.
Cozy, where do you sit?
He's just gonna kiss himself. That's what he's doing.
Hell yeah. If you
While
don't have
he-
anyone
while
else
he
to
ruminates
kiss,
on
you
that,
just kiss yourself.
I will say-
I'd put it at A tier.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Put it at A tier.
Yeah, I think it's.
I think for the
real
fact-
good, but
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that's about it.
It had its own DDR game that was entirely Mario music from the franchise. For that reason alone, it's an S tier game. Also, Galaxy and Galaxy 2 and Odyssey and 64 and the original Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World. It is absolutely an S tier.
I don't know. I don't have a
S-tier,
particularly
S-tier franchise.
deep argument against it being S tier. It's just, in my case, like I've never felt inclined to listen to a track from a Mario game on my phone, with the sole exception of Jump Up Superstar, which we played a second earlier.
Yeah,
It sounds like we need a tiebreaker.
I have the same thing, and honestly, like, what is it? There was a whole experience, Zelda reorchestrated, where people were going back and reorchestrating the older Zelda music and everything, and I would have that on repeat, like on my way to school back in the day. Where Mario just, especially like in the new Super Mario franchise, like I appreciate the quirkiness of it. It's just not as good.
There is no universe that we can rank Metroid as a series above Mario in my books. Nathan, how do you feel about this? Where are you putting it?
Well, Mario's S tier for me. Like I said, I would put it above S tier. I think of some of the music, and we bring up Odyssey, we bring up Mario 3, we bring up Mario, like the original Super Mario Brothers. Not Mario Brothers, because that game doesn't have great music.
Super Mario Brothers, for sure.
Yeah, but Super Mario Brothers.
Galaxy 2. Y'all are sleeping on how good of a soundtrack Galaxy had.
Great soundtrack. Not going to disagree. But
even I don't like
Mario
Sunshine.
music
Sunshine's
good?
got good music.
I'm
I
totally.
think she said Mario music is good. I think that's our tiebreaker.
All right.
Zelda music good though.
She doesn't know Zelda.
Okay, well,
Is Mario music better than Zelda music?
you've done her a disservice.
Is Mario music better than Zelda music? Her answer was, I don't know.
Okay, well,
Is it better than Pokemon?
Yes.
it's
yes.
probably as good.
She said yes. So in that case, Mario goes to S, and our list is as follows. Our top tier list of Nintendo franchises is as follows.
Did you just concede that Pokemon stays at A? Great, we did it, guys.
I hate you guys. At C tier, you have Fire Emblem, you have Pikmin, you have Luigi's Mansion. At B tier, you've got fzero, Kid Icarus, Kirby, and Donkey Kong. At A tier, you have Pokemon, begrudgingly, Animal Crossing, Xenoblade Chronicles, and Splatoon. And your S tier franchises, Metroid, The Legend of Zelda, and Mario.
We did it. We got Metroid to S tier. Way to go, everybody.
We put a DDR game at S tier, and that's really what matters. Thank you, one and all, for tuning into this episode of Press YYZ. If you enjoyed what you just heard, be sure to share and subscribe on YouTube, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and follow along on Twitch. You can check out Press YYZ on Twitter to stay up to date when we go live, when our gameplay streams are happening, like Nathan streaming Mario Party later this week, and join our Discord, invite.gg/PressYYZ, where we keep the conversation going every day of the week. I don't know if we know what we're talking about next week. Maybe it'll just be us talking about new games and things, but who knows? Until next time, for those about to rock, we salute you.